Good evening, and welcome to The Poet's Corner. I am your host, Micah Joel Toohey, and I am broadcasting from Western Illinois University, WIU, in Macomb, Illinois. To start this evening, to herald the full-on bloom of spring as we get into April, I'd like to share a passage from a certain New England writer, and I'll reveal who it is at the end. You may not guess who this poetic soul is. Spring is not the finest season in New England. It's too short, too uncertain, too apt to turn savage on short notice. Even so, there are April days which linger in the memory, even after one has forgotten the wife's touch. By mid-May, the sun rises out of the morning's haze with authority and potency, and standing on your top step at 7 in the morning with your dinner bucket in your hand, you know the dew will be melted off the grass by 8 and that the dust on the back roads will hang depthless and still in the air for 5 minutes after a car's passage, and that by 1 in the afternoon it will be up to 95 on the 3rd floor of the mill, and the sweat will roll off your arms like oil and stick your shirt to your back in a widening patch, and it might as well be July. But when fall comes, kicking summer out on its treacherous ass, as it always does one day sometime after the midpoint of September, it stays a while, like an old friend that you have missed. It settles in the way an old friend will settle into your favorite chair and take out his pipe and light it, and then fill the afternoon with stories of places he has been and things he has done since he last saw you. It stays on through October and, in rare years, on into November. Day after day the skies are a clear, hard blue, and the clouds that float across them, always west to east, are calm white strips with gray keels. The wind begins to blow by the day, and it is never still. It hurries you along as you walk the roads, crunching the leaves that have fallen in mad and variegated drifts. The wind makes you ache in some place that is deeper than your bones. It may be that it touches something old in the human soul, a chord of race memory that says, migrate or die, migrate or die. Even in your house behind square walls, the wind beats against the wood and the glass and sends its fleshless pucker against the eaves, and sooner or later you have to put down what you were doing and go out and see. And you can stand on your stoop or in your dooryard at mid-afternoon and watch the cloud shadows rush across Griffin's pasture and up Schoolyard Hill, light and dark, like the shutters of the gods being opened and closed. You can see the goldenrod, that most tenacious and pernicious and beauteous of all New England flora, bowing away from the wind like a great and silent congregation. And if there are no cars or planes, and if no one's Uncle John is out in the wood lot west of town banging away at a quail or pheasant, if the only sound is the slow beat of your own heart, you can hear another sound, and that is the sound of life winding down to its cyclic close, waiting for the first winter snow to perform last rites. A couple of things from this passage wanted me to put it on the Poet's Corner. First, of course, its reference to the goldenrod, one of my own personal favorite flora, also a particular favorite of Wordsworth. The word silent congregation in relation to goldenrods and daffodils is from one of Wordsworth's poems. Also, just the reference to an old friend smoking. It seems lately on the Poet's Corner we can't have a smoking reference in there somewhere. Strangely enough, the author, you may not have guessed him, from New England is actually Stephen King. Yes, that was an excerpt from the beginning of chapter 6 of his second major novel, Salem's Lot. So, even though Stephen King may be the master of horror, I dare say he has a bit of the touch of the poet in his soul. No matter. This is and continues to be the Poet's Corner. I was reading Reflections by Wordsworth the other day, and In talking about poetry, Wordsworth defined it as emotion recollected in tranquility. I think this is a perfect description of poetry, and I often look at my own grandmother's poetry, Theodora Bach, as that very same experience, emotion reflected on in tranquility. It's like looking at experience through the light of a lifetime of meditation. In that spirit, I'd like to return to one of my own and one of her favorite poems, William Wordsworth. This one is entitled Daffodils, and it always continues to inspire me because it brings me to that contemplative place that I always seem to want to experience in nature. It's often known by the title, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not be but gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. Far oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. William Wordsworth. This is the Poets' Corner. I am your host, Micah Joel Toohey, and we will be right back.